These office chairs are not made to be good quality. They're made to see how fast they can make them. They have an air cylinder that adjusts the height up and down for the chair. That's the first thing to quit working. There's a telescoping piece of plastic on here that's supposed to go up and down with the cylinder. Take it off, throw that away. This push button, when you pull up on the lever, it pushes down on this and allows that air cylinder to come back up. We don't need that. Take a piece of pipe, plastic pipe, put it over the top. There's a ring right here that's a tapered fit with the top of the cylinder. So we want this piece of pipe to be just below where that gets tight on there. And this is just to keep the next piece of pipe from rattling around in there too much. We put this piece of pipe in here, be the same height, just below where this piece wedges tight. And what's going to happen is when we sit on the chair, this will sit on top of this piece of plastic and it will turn on that piece of plastic. It's going to be a little squeaky, but the original chair is fairly squeaky. So that repair worked well. Now the next thing to fail on the chair is they have a pin through here, and this section right in here is square, punched out. And on both sides, they've got a little pot metal bushing with a pin through it, and then the ends of that pin are welded so it won't come out. And that pot metal bushing wears through or cracks and breaks in relatively short time. Then your chair is going to lean at one angle, and so they want you to throw it away and buy another one. So my repair for that, ground the ends off the pin, took it out, drilled that out with a 1/2-inch drill, and use a 1/2-inch bolt through there with some washers for spacing. And that has lasted for several years. The next problem encountered is this piece is very sharply bent. There's no radius here. And in the process of bending this or stamping it, they have allowed stress riser in here, crack to form. I'm sure that after they took this piece and welded it on there, that heat affected zone right next to there helped that to crack. In fact, there's a bit of a weld spot right there as well. To take this off, a little more of a problem. The bolt is in there. You take the bolt out. There's a handle that's been pressed on here. I took a grinder and I just ground the slot in there so that will come off. This spring piece, you'll have to unscrew that. And before you can do that, you have to screw this thing all the way down while it's still on the chair and expose the end of this bolt. And they have spot welded the end of that bolt so it won't come off. I ground that off. So that piece will come off of there. The bolt will come out through the bottom. And you just put that to one side. All right, so with the handle removed from here, the spring tensioning unit removed from there, this piece can now come out this way. In order to repair this, we need to be able to get into this, heat this up, straighten that back out. So this lever, which is what pushes up and down on this button, we don't really need this anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and grind these welds off, take this out, and we're going to straighten this piece back up and re-weld it. I ground that cracked area out because when that bent down, it had fish hooked, and I wasn't able to beat that back into position. With it ground out, we were able to heat that up and bend it back. It's not pretty, especially if you look at this side. This spring area has been distorted quite a bit, but I don't think that will make any difference. The holes in this plate are fairly square to each other, and it's been welded back on both sides. We'll put it back together and see what happens. Put the 1/2-inch bolt and the spacer washers in there and tightened it up. Reinstalled the spring assembly. And that is a little bit cockeyed. But we'll put it on the chair and see how it works. That lever that used to go through here in the handle, I'm just leaving it out. That serves no purpose anymore. I've reassembled the bracket to the bottom of the chair. These were M8 bolts, and because this bracket looked like it was going to be a bit crooked, I have shimmed this. I used a longer bolt with a fender washer, an oversized nut, so that's just a spacer. It does not tighten on that M8 bolt. And use that to pick that up off the bottom of the chair. From the back of the chair, we can see the bottom of the chair is now parallel with this bracket. The spring is off to one side, but who cares? We'll put this on the pedestal and see how it looks. The chair sits straight, should be good for a few more years. The tapered end of this air cylinder wedges into these two rings extremely tight, especially after the chair's been used for a while. Before I installed this plastic pipe to keep that air cylinder from collapsing, you were able to beat on this with a hammer. You can kind of tell this has been peened with a hammer a little bit. And with the help of a friend, if you hold the legs up in the air and strike this with a hammer evenly on the four corners, it will eventually pop loose. With the pipe in here, you have to use a pin punch and a hammer, but it will knock that loose and you can get these rings off of that taper.